Welcome to my vlog. I'm starting off with a voiceover to show the dyeing and braiding I did on my friend. So here I am just dyeing her hair brown. I then put toner in it and now I'm blowing it out for some crocheted braids. The topic of my vlog will be hair in West African cultures after finding some interesting sculptures and articles online. Here I am crocheting the extensions into the pre-parted and braided hair, and now I'm just continuing to braid down with the extensions, adding more as needed. And the reason I'm showing this braiding process is because it connects to the actual artist I want to talk about, which is the Ivorian artist Laetitia Ky. She was born in 1996 in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, and is the eldest sister of 3. She has a degree in business administration but couldn't afford further education as both of her parents died at the age of 24, making her the sole provider for her and her younger sisters. In this time, she tried multiple avenues of trying to make ends meet, but ultimately was forced into prostitution for 2 years. In 2016, she posted her first hair sculpture photo series on Facebook depicting pre-colonial hairstyles, for which she received a lot of positive reception, especially from other Black women. This, for example, is an Igbo traditional style. She continued sculpting and was soon approached by magazines as well as giving braiding workshops on how to sculpt hair. These, for example, are something she coined as Ky braids, using ankara to braid into the hair as extensions. In 2022, her work was featured at the Venice Biennale, and in 2023, she gave her first TED Talk. A lot of her works have feminist ideology ingrained into them, no matter if it connects to her hair sculptures or her paintings. Sometimes they also include climate conscious topics or takes or other left-leaning topics. So now I would like to show you 3 of her works, starting off with this one. It's a Me Too post. And sadly, oftentimes the Me Too movement was viewed as a white woman's movement, or predominantly white women were the faces of it. But by making the woman wear ankara, it shows a more closeness to specifically West Africa, and that these problems are also prominent there. The usage of hair carries a cultural meaning and is seen as a precious thing that is supposed to be taken care of, but it displays such a violent topic that shows the disrespect that these women have to face on a daily basis. As well as the dark hair shows that the intruders can be men from our own community. Our fist gives power and recognition to these women, especially those on the continent that oftentimes get erased in history, pushed away, and marginalized through various means such as arranged marriages at a young age, hateful attacks for simple disobedience, rape, and denying or deprioritizing education. The reason why I picked each of them is because all these structures are made out of hair, but specifically this feminist message is central in all of her works, as well as centering African women in her works by using her hair and extensions as a medium. She doesn't dehumanize them by making them celestial and alien-like beings that show no signs of weakness and can never be abused, but shows a side that often is prohibited to be talked about. Especially as African women, they're often expected to suck it up as they are dehumanized by their own people even.
Divorce is not the only way out. Think back. It has not always been beating now. There were real good times. Think back about that good times. Think back on how you started. you would definitely find a loophole somewhere. I hate beating, but no one is a saint. You will not die inside that marriage.
Amen.
Go away.
This clip, I feel, exemplifies or shows this problem even more, because instead of finding the issue with the men, women are just told to suck it up. Oftentimes you can see aunties discouraging young girls or young women who are going into academia, who are getting further educations, or who want to be working, as calling them names, but also specifically always mentioning, you will not find a husband like this, you will not have kids, everything you're doing will scare these men away, because they know that being more educated means you will most likely speak out against these things. But oftentimes these aunties are just as much victims as they are perpetuating these ideas, because they were also brainwashed into believing that their husbands are allowed to hit them because they're just taking out stress, and as a woman they are supposed to take it, even though this is the opposite case. But especially women who are illiterate face this problem even more, as they can be stuck in marriages that are abusive, where they face domestic violence but cannot escape, or if they then escape because the man runs away with a new victim, they are left with nothing. They can't read, they have to ask others for help, and it's just discouraging them and isolating them to perfectly put them in positions where somebody can take advantage of it. But now I would like to talk about her process for these hair sculptures. She said it can take anywhere from a couple of minutes to multiple hours. She creates these sculptures by wrapping her hair and some extensions around wires so they will hold its shape. She then takes pictures of the sculptures and takes it down afterwards, as it will cause too much tension on her scalp. Most inspiration comes from the injustice she has faced herself, but also the injustice and struggles women and young girls face in a lot of African countries. These topics being sexism, the patriarchy, self-love, which she wrote a book about, bodily autonomy, disability, and illiteracy among women, as well as other topics. She realized after gaining success with her more playful designs, such as this one, that she wanted to use her platform and voice to speak out against the struggles women face and the injustice they see.
Growing up in an environment where I wasn't always encouraged to love who I was, my journey has been about becoming my own friend and advocate. And when I embraced the capacity I have to share my stories and the one of others, I found the strength to advocate for what I believe in through my hair. Thank you.
A lot of her works talk about women's bodies, and she also depicts them often naked, which in parts of Africa, for example in the southeast of Nigeria, nakedness is used as a form of protest against an oppressor, as a form of public shame of the accused. In 1929, local women used it to shame colonial presence for their unjust treatment, and even in 2012, this was used against the oil giant Shell in the same region. So it is a vital part of making people uncomfortable, to get them to think and to reflect on these topics by forcing embarrassment on them. So why did I stress hair? Well, similar to clothes, which another great artist from Nigeria, Chief Nike Okundaye, said, the pattern of adire is the way we used to communicate in the past. Just like how adire is a means of communication, any clothes are a portal to us and show how we care, live, social status, and personal experiences. Well, hair is a similar portal of expression. Which leads me to the importance of hair in West Africa. For example, the importance of hair in Yoruba culture especially is exemplified by these three proverbs. The first one being,
A kì í di irun tàbí gé irun lẹ́yìn olórí.
which means one does not plait or cut a person's hair without the consent of the owner of the head. The second one being,
Uni I. That means hair is the beauty of a woman.
and the third and last one even shows the importance of hair is ingrained into the mythology of Yoruba religion by depicting some of the goddesses combing and taking care of their hair in intricate ways, depicting Oshun, the fertility, love, peace, prosperity, beauty, and fresh water goddess, as the first hairdresser. On another level, Earth is also described as a woman who combs her hair with hose.
Ayé òrìṣà tí ń fi ọkọ yarun. What this simply means is that because the Yorubas were originally farmers, the weeds that they cut on the ground represents the air, and we use the hoe to unweed, okay? We use the hoe to cut down the weeds, and people see our ancestors see this as a way of combing one's hair, because when you comb your hair, sometimes you lose some of the hair. So when we use the hoe to make farms, make ridges, clear bushes, we believe that we are actually helping the goddess of the land to comb its hair.
There are certain hairstyles, for example, which are reserved for queens, such as
Ṣùkú ọlọ́gẹ̀dẹ̀.
or only for married women and priestesses, called
Agogo.
which imitates a cock's comb and is also translated with this meaning. Yoruba hairstyles have a significant part in life cycles, rites of passages, as well as in many secular situations in communicating certain information about familial connection, political and vocational duties and roles. The haircuts of court messengers varied according on the monarchy. Every 4 days, for example, the messengers at Ife had their hair shaved on opposite sides, and on certain ceremonial occasions they painted their bodies crimson and white. The messenger deity Eshu was connected to this hair ritual. You also aren't allowed to just throw your hair into the garbage because you could use this hair, or somebody could go into your trash and take the hair and use it for witchcraft, which will create issues for you. So usually grandmothers, aunties, or even anybody close to you will tell you, don't throw it away, flush it down the toilet, or burn it. And if they see you just letting it lay there, they will pick it up for you and throw it away. But they will always make sure that none of your hair stays just around anywhere, so anybody could take it and do whatever they want with it. And this, I feel like, shows exactly how connected hair is to spirituality and to oneself, because even with such small bunches of hair, it's said that people could create a lot of issues already for you. And another way hair was used universally in West Africa was sadly during the slave trade, where food or maps were braided into the hair out of survival reasons, which later was still frequently used in the Americas for the same purpose, when enslaved people ran away to their freedom. Hair often is portrayed as a crown, but far too often nowadays African hair is seen as messy and unworkable, and that it needs to be straightened and relaxed. Laetitia also said herself that the first time she saw an African American woman wear their natural hair out, it sparked something within her, as she was used to seeing and getting her hair relaxed, as well as having a bad incident with relaxers. Like a lot of African women did and still do, get their hair to be more straight to appeal to popular or Western beauty trends. You're supposed to take good care of it because it will tell your story, and I personally found it very interesting to see a double meaning in these topics which already have a meaning even if they were made out of only steel. But by using the medium of hair, they get one more layer of meaning through it by connecting it to African women, showing that their hair is a source of creativity that can spark things and isn't something that needs to be beaten into obedience and pushed away and never to be shown, hiding it under wigs and sew-ins that resemble straight hair, but rather that just how in Yoruba traditions it's depicted as something spiritually connecting and as a source of pride and beauty. Here it does the exact same function, showing the endless ways on how to create beautiful artwork that deals with new creativity in a way that people maybe have never seen before. And I think that's the main reason I also did this vlog, because I just found it so amazing.
Hello, I'm Mudupe. I am Aliyah's aunt. I'm going to talk about my hair. I remember my mom making my hair into cornrows every week when I was a child. There was the wash routine, getting out all the tangles, the hair oil, making sure everything was well oiled. And I do remember fidgeting a lot. I never wanted to get my hair done. Sometimes I would cry because I didn't want to sit still. I wanted to be out playing. But when it was all done, I would go and look in the mirror. I would feel very good about myself, check out the hairstyle. And so those memories are really ingrained in me. They bring up feelings of being nurtured, being appreciated, feeling good about myself. But as a child, I never really appreciated much about my hair, the color, the texture. I always wanted it to be something different. A lot of my friends had really dark, glossy hair, and my hair was, slightly dark brown and not as glossy. And I wanted something different. But I am grateful for the hair revolution that's happened in different communities over the last few years. People of color are appreciating their hair more, the natural texture, the different colors. There's more awareness about how to care for black hair. Right now I'm actually wearing my hair in braids. My hair is underneath and I have extensions. It's considered a protective hairstyle because black hair does tend to get brittle and damaged if it's overexposed to the elements. And so over the years I have come to appreciate who I am and what I could do with my hair. The different hairstyles allow me to express my culture and just have a different look whenever I choose.
Àwọn Yorùbá gbàgbọ́ pé irun ni ẹwà obìnrin. Torí eléyìí, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan tó jẹ́ kí irun dára ni wọ́n máa ń ṣe pẹ̀lú irun. Irun wa ṣe pàtàkì tó bẹ́ẹ̀ gẹ́ tí àwọn ìyàwó ọba ní bí àwọn ṣe ń di irun wọn tó yàtọ̀ sí. Èyí ò ní pé àwọn ènìyàn lásán ò lè dirun bẹ́ẹ̀, ṣùgbọ́n tí o bá rí obìnrin tó bá ti di ṣùkú tó sì fi ìlẹ̀kẹ̀ sí láì jẹ́ pé o mọ̀ rí wàá ti mọ̀ wípé ìyàwó ọba ni. There are other ways of making hair. There is one we called adisehin. That is, it goes from the front to the back. There's another one we called patewo. It comes from both sides and meets at the middle of the head. There are other ones, but really I can't remember those names anymore. There are different ways of taking care of hair in Yoruba land. The one we have just said is plaiting the hair. That is didi. There's another one where we use a type of wool to do it. We cut it into small pieces and use the wool, and so it comes differently. And then, of course, the third one is where we just braid it. The original Yoruba way of braiding hair is not what we see nowadays. In the original way, the hair goes inside. So you can't even know from looking at the head of the woman whether she has long or short hair. But the braiding we have in these days will show you whether the woman's hair is long or short. Then we have this special oil for treating hair in those days in Yoruba land. And it is made from palm kernel. They burn the palm kernel, extract the oil from it. And many people don't even wash their hairs with water. They wash it with that oil. And once you rub the oil in your hair, every dirt will just come down. You know, as you comb it, the dirt will be leaving your hair and leaving the hair shiny. It's a very good way, and it's a very good type of oil, which many people don't use nowadays because it has its own peculiar smell, but it's extremely beautiful to use. It makes the hair shine and good looking good. Well, that is all I think I can say concerning hair in Yoruba land.
So originally I wanted to mention 3 of her works, which is why there's an odd cut at some point. But somebody pointed out to me that Laetitia Ky is actually a TERF. And if I had known this sooner, I wouldn't have included her in the vlog. I think it's quite hypocritical to preach feminism, women's autonomy, trying to uplift women's voices, and so on, only for your feminism to be trans exclusionary, and especially to double down on your bigotry. When the very patriarchy she is trying to fight and bring attention to questions her womanhood as a Black woman constantly. And then to turn around and preach non-fully intersectional feminism is insane to me, as she faces an intersection herself. And so as an ending, trans women are women and also deserve their voices and stories to be heard just like any other cis woman does. And they should actively be included in discussions about feminism and in the fight against the patriarchy.